Hello dear viewers, and welcome to this special segment on the sidelines of the Bahrain International Defense Exhibition and Conference BIDEC 2019. Now BIDEC 2019 kicked off its activities yesterday on the 28th of October, and it's being held under the patronage of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. Defense and military experts from all over the globe have been flocking to this exhibition and conference from 60 different countries, with 200 exhibiting companies following the great success of the BIDEC 2017 first edition. Now with us today we have Mr. Michel Belfer, the president of the Euro Gulf Information Center in Rome. Thank you very much, Mr. Michel, for agreeing to do this interview.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So to begin with, BIDEC brings together these different experts in the field of defense and the industry to come together, share ideas, showcase different technologies. Why do you think this is an important platform?
I think as the world gets smaller and smaller because of our technologies, people's challenges become unified. Whether we're here in Bahrain or we're in Cyprus as island states in the Middle East, or we are, in Canada or the United States or throughout Europe, our challenges are more or less the same. Mm-hmm. So I think coming to an event like this brings together thinkers who are concerned with what challenges lay ahead. Mm-hmm. And are looking for ideas from the contexts and contacts of other countries that may have experienced the same challenges in different ways. Yes. So I think this is really an idea generator.
Mm-hmm. Now, leading an organization that is primarily concerned with Euro-Gulf relations and shedding light on this industry in particular, how did you find this conference in Bahrain in particular compared to, let's say, similar notions in other countries?
In fairness, I don't think that there is a conference that's similar to this anywhere. The way that it was styled and structured in terms of the focal points and bringing very high-level speakers together with a very engaged audience. I've never been to a conference quite like this before, especially as it's right within the context of this wonderful exhibition that's all around us. So you're getting this wonderful mixture of practitioners and theorists in one place at one time. So I think it's quite unique.
And then if we go to the conference, the MEMTech conference, which is on the sidelines of this obviously whole BIDEC exhibition and conference, it covers different topics and there are various issues on its agenda. Looking at the agenda, what struck you as something that's very relevant to be discussing at the time being and considering the area?
Yeah, well, today and tomorrow we're mostly focused on our cyber and technologies and information technologies, as well as artificial intelligence. And I think this is so cutting edge. Some of the presentations I saw in just this morning were just eye-opening. And so I've come here to talk about cybersecurity, but I end up learning about a variety of other and related sectors. So I think it's deeply fascinating for me also just to see how the other sectors are developing.
Perceive it, and indeed.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, and so this is actually a segue to my next question. And you presented a talk this morning about cyber defense security, and I wanted to expand a bit on that. What was the topics being discussed, or what did you bring on the table when it came to your topic?
Sadly, we didn't have as much time as I would have liked to discuss it, but
we'll give you the time here to do that.
Thank you. Well, essentially, I was looking at the different approaches that you could have to developing a cyber defense strategy, but I think my overall thesis on this is that we need to be much more assertive. When I say we, I mean countries that are facing a terrorist threat or an insurgency threat, because that was the prime focus of what I was looking at today. And I was using the case of Bahrain because Bahrain faces I think a very acute terrorist threat from Hezbollah, from Sarai al-Ashtar.
Yes.
And so I think instead of building strictly defensive techniques, I think that we have to start preparing ourselves also for more offensive, including finding ways at, using specific psychological efforts in cyberspace to essentially undermine those groups that are determined to undermine stability here.
Yeah. That is indeed a very interesting point, especially with the advancements in technology. Cyber security or cyber way of life has become either a threat or a tool that we could use. But in order to break it down and simplify it to the audience, when we say cyber defense, what do we mean exactly?
And the barest form, we're talking about finding ways to detect, prevent, and then respond to cyber attacks. Sometimes this can be something small like hacking into email accounts and sending passwords out or stealing credit card details. In other cases, it can be quite large because hacking groups have been able to enter into our critical infrastructure. You can't imagine what kind of devastation if somebody were to take over a dam or an electricity generation plant. These would be, terrible. There would be terrible consequences to that. And so we're looking at a wide spectrum of activities that are done, illicit activities that are done in cyberspace. The cybersphere that we've grown accustomed to using for our economic engagement, political engagement, social engagements, has sometimes been taken over by groups, terrorist organizations, criminal groups that are seeking to undermine our society. So looking at how to build a platform to develop the right tools to stop that kind of hostile takeover of those platforms is a 24-hour, 365, and in leap years, 366 days of the year.
That's a very actually interesting point. I just want to go back to the organization you work with, the Eurogulf Information Center, just to shed light on what this organization is and what do you do?
So we basically build strategic, political and social and cultural relations between the people of the Gulf countries and people of Europe. This has meant that we've been involved with different institutions in the European Union, Parliament, the Commission, as well as throughout the Gulf countries, primarily here in Bahrain, to link them up with their information that is relevant to carry on their jobs. So, for example, we provide research services, we're doing think tank work, but we also do a lot of outreach, trying to get people who may have misconceptions about the Gulf, to get them to understand what the Gulf is really all about.
So it's a two-way platform.
Absolutely.
Let me just lastly pick your brain on this.
Sure.
What do you think our priorities should be or are in the region right now?
Right now, well, look, nothing can happen without there being a good, stable, secure environment. And I think that there are agents outside of the Gulf, particularly in Iran, that are looking to destabilize the Gulf countries. They're not just doing it because of the spreading of their ideology, and I should be quite clear on that. They're doing it because they know that the Gulf model is progressive, it's inclusive, and it's forward-thinking. Everything that the Iranian revolutionary state is not. And so I think they're trying to disrupt what's happening here. What
could be a threat to them,
But so let's say the first priority in any situation is to stabilize the country. But the second priority, and I think this is something that we should always come back to, the second priority is social. It's not political, it's not military, it's not strategic, it's social. It's about ensuring that all segments of society continue to be able to grow and to belong and to remain the stakeholders that they are. That's exactly what countries like Iran are trying to interrupt. They don't want that kind of social unity. And of course, Bahrain has its own additional sets of priorities. For instance, as an island state, Bahrain faces a lot of the same challenges that island states all over the world face. Environmental challenges, related to islandness, actually. And so I think being a small island state, the only Arab island state in the world, brings with it also a different set of perspectives on global and regional politics.
Mr. Mitchell Balfour, the president of the EU Gulf Information Center, thank you very much for your time and for an exciting discussion.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Dear viewers, we'll be back with another guest on the sidelines of the BIDEC 2019. Stay tuned. Welcome back, dear viewers, to this special segment on the sidelines of the Bahrain International Defense Exhibition Center 2019. With us are several guests and exhibitors and speakers that have been taking part in BIDEC and the accompanying MEMTech conference. Now we have Domiziano Pozzi, the VP of Marketing in Leonardo. Mr. Domiziano, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview with us. To begin with, what does your company do? Let's simply answer that question.
Yeah, Leonardo is active in the defense, aerospace and industry and the security sectors. We operate based in Italy, UK and the US, and we are one of the biggest company ranking in the worldwide market of the defense and aerospace.
You have participated in the BIDEC 2017 version, and you have come back to participate in the BIDEC 2019. Why do you think it's important for yourself, your company, and companies like you to be taking part in exhibitions like this?
Well, we decided to invest in this country, in this market, and that's why we decided to participate to the first edition of BIDEC, which was very successful for us. At that time we presented a program for the upgrade of M60 main battle tanks, and we had very good feedback from that participation. That's the reason why we decided to come here to the second edition with a broader portfolio of product to present here. The reason why we broadened the portfolio is that in these months, especially, the scenario has been evolving very rapidly with an increasing role of asymmetric threats.
Yes.
And this has forced us to redirect our focus, and for this reason here we are presenting a broader set of solutions and capabilities than we did in the first edition of BIDEC.
Mr. Domiziano, heading the marketing segment of the company, who would you say are your main target audience or target sectors within this within the Bahrain International Defense Exhibition and Conference?
As I said before, in this edition of BIDEC we presented a range of products, which goes from the traditional land and naval security and defense systems to ammunitions. And this year I would put a particular emphasis on the fact that we have added to our offering here also cybersecurity and counter-drone systems, which, as I told you before, are responding to new demands from the scenario, which has evolved very rapidly in the last months. So as you can imagine, asymmetric threats coming from drones or from cyber attack can have devastating effects. And given the capabilities and experience that we have matured in our previous experience, we have been able to develop a very flexible and effective response to these threats.
Mr. Domiziano, as you've rightly said, and we've been talking about this throughout the day, cybersecurity is an important pillar, and beefing up cyber defense systems is paramount for the defense of any nation. Interestingly enough, you mentioned some of the innovative solutions that your company is putting on the table. Is there anything you'd like to discuss on how these solutions help in promoting and preserving cybersecurity of nations?
Well, a nation's economic and social life is heavily influenced by the potential effects of a cyber attack, as you can imagine. If there is a cyber attack targeting a hospital rather than a desalating plant or an oil plant or whatever, this would have a blackout and the collateral effects on all the economic and social life of any country. Given the particular situation in this part of the world, there is a particular attention of the governments to any threat which could influence the performance of the critical infrastructures, such as power plants, hospital, whatever critical infrastructure is under threat. So we have quite a good experience in the cyber solutions, and for instance, we've been awarded the biggest non-US cyber contract for NATO and there are 70 countries which are benefiting from our services. So, leveraging on this experience, we are here in the country and in the region to listen to customers' needs and provide our capabilities and put our capabilities at the service of clients' needs. We are very flexible in targeting particular needs because each case is different from others. So each country has specific threats, specific characteristics.
Indeed.
And we have the knowledge and the capabilities to develop solutions which are tailored on a specific customer need.
Obviously, as experts in the field, you have been around exhibiting your products in different platforms, let's say, in different venues. How does the BIDEC 2019 and 2017 compare to these venues?
Well, for us, BIDEC, as I told you, is very interesting because we had a very good feedback in the first edition. And as far as I can say from these first 2 days, we are also very satisfied of this edition. The attendance is very high level, and for us it's important because we can target all the countries of this region. So for me, it is a good opportunity to promote all our products, especially the new ones which I mentioned to you, to all the countries of the Gulf.
One last question, Mr. Giovanziano. As experts in the field, in the industry, what do you think the priorities are for your market in the years to come?
Well, again, priorities are to focus on security at all levels. So I mentioned cybersecurity, which is one pillar of our new offering here. Another one is counter UAV, counter drones. As you can imagine, the drones now are available to a wide number of people at very cheap prices, and the effect and the damages that can be created by a drone attack are devastating. So we leveraged on the fact that we build drones ourselves, and we also built air traffic control system, so we know quite well what is the environment in which a threat can be generated. And thanks to this, we have been able to deploy and to develop a flexible, open architecture and modular solution of counter UAV system that we call IUAV, which means integrated counter UAV system, where we allow the customer, we support the customer in picking up and choosing the components of a counter UAV system which best fit and best meet the specific needs of a customer, which can be different according to the fact that the threat is in the civil domain or in the military domain. So you can have drone attacks to an oil plant, you can have it to a school, you can have it to an airport or a military base. And this will be 3 or 4 different scenarios which need a tailored solution. And we have in-house all the competencies and the products that are needed to put together the most appropriate solution. We are more and more selling capabilities than only products.
Thank you very much, Mr. Damiano Botsky from Leonardo. Thank you so much for the discussion and the interesting information. Dear viewers, we continue with our special segment, but we'll take this short break and we'll be back talking to more people and more exhibitors about BIDEC 2019. Stay tuned. Welcome back, dear viewers, to this special segment covering the Bahrain International Defense Exhibition and Conference 2019, held under the patronage of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. We continue discussing the topics with the different guests, the different speakers, the different exhibitors, and now we have Sayyid Ahmed bin Rawan, the chair of the US ISO Innovation Group. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview.
Thank you, my friend.
Sayyid Ahmed, to begin with, why do you think platforms like this, like the BIDEC 2019, bringing together these different experts in the industry, why do you think it's important to have forums like this?
I think this is one of the most important fora and platform, as you said it, that we need in Arab countries, in the Arab world. We have been training people to take over innovative thinking for so long, but we have been missing these connections. There are a lot of startups, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, there are a lot of VCs, there are a lot of technologists, but there is no place where you can have a hub where all these people meet, talk, discuss, network, and initiate a project. This BIDEC, it is truly a platform for people coming from all over the countries, people coming with different perspectives, people coming from different professional backgrounds that allow for this type of connections and this type of ecosystem, if you will, to be built so we can get more innovative about the industry in which we are.
Yes. Mr. Sayyid Ahmed, like you rightly said, it is an extremely important forum to have, especially in the region. I just want to know what your reflections are on MEMTech in particular. Now, MEMTech is a conference on the sidelines of BIDEC, and it's covering a wide array of topics ranging from cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, etc. What are your reflections on the agenda of the conference?
The MEMTech, perhaps for me, was probably the highest point of this whole forum, of this whole platform. Of course, there's also an exhibition, so people also are coming to do business, and there is nothing wrong with that. People exchange business cards, people make deals, people do a lot of things. But I took note of something very important. His Highness Sheikh Nasser said it yesterday during the opening dinner. He said this is also a platform for people to learn. This is also a platform for people to exchange views. This is also a platform for young officers to learn about the global trends of this technology. And MEMTech actually provided that platform. We spent maybe about 6 hours this morning, I think 3 panel, 6 or 7 panelists talking about their own perspectives and talking about the challenges we face as Arab world, first of all, but more importantly, as decision makers. What is it that we need to do more to be able to get the Bahraini society, the UAE society, the Algerian society, the Tunisian society ready for this type of challenges?
Now, Mr. Sayyid Ahmed, I want to pick your brain on your topic that was being discussed today, the topic of artificial intelligence and how is it related to the defense industry and field in general. What can you tell us about the latest of what you brought on the table for the MEMTech conference?
Well, first of all, artificial intelligence has been in the news and has been hyped as a topic for the last maybe 3 or 4 years. But artificial intelligence as a concept, as an academic concept, as a research concept, has been actually in existence for the last maybe 30 or 40 years. The question that we debated today in MEMTech is that why AI and why now? Well, there are 3 reasons. There are 3 changes, 3 shifts that happen in the world that make decision makers interested in AI. Number 1, we have more data. All the stuff you exchange on your social media, all the stuff you upload from videos, all the stuff you do in the online world, that's data, and that creates more possibility for me as a creator of an algorithm to train my algorithms and to train the software that helps, again, create this type of models. Number 2, we have more supercomputing power. Our computers now are simply more powerful than what used to exist in the past. Someone said that the iPhone has more power than Voyager 1, the spacecraft that was launched in 1967. And that's an amazing story. And then 3, we simply have more cloud computing, more storage, that all the stuff we exchange, the zillions of terabytes of bytes that we have, we can put them somewhere, and we don't sometimes have to pay for them. You don't pay for your email, you don't pay for your pictures, you don't pay for anything that you are putting on Facebook or YouTube. So that storage capacity combined with data and combined with the supercomputing is what allowed AI to emerge as a concept. AI is a big topic and it's a challenge for humanity, it's a challenge for decision makers, and it's a challenge also for the military sector. In terms of applications, you can use AI as for drones. You can use AI simply to make your operations more efficient. You can use AI to harvest data so you're able to learn about your enemies. You can use AI to learn about these deep fake new technologies that are threatening the cohesion of society and the cohesion of communities.
Mr. Ahmed, being an expert in the field, how do you see or how do you foresee our priorities in the region, especially related to the industry?
I think our challenge is to create the ingredients or put the ingredients together so those young generations that are sometimes challenging us to stay in the region, to reflect on the region, and to develop solutions and to develop and be engaged with the community. Our challenge is how we can create these, what I call again, the ecosystem for innovation. How can we make those happy accidents something that is sustainable in the region, and we are able actually to become a hub for innovation, a hub for technology. And back to the original question, what the government of Bahrain has done is a wonderful thing. Bring all these people from different perspectives, from different industries to talk and involve the kids, involve the students, involved research centers. We're actually doing another similar event in Abu Dhabi in December, and the invitation is open. It's called the Digital Next, and the Digital Next is also a platform that is going to allow for entrepreneurs, startups, decision makers, and VCs to come and explore what can be done to solve the challenges we face as we are moving through these disruptive times.
This is Ahmed from our discussion, and we mentioned a lot about artificial intelligence, the use of technology in defense systems. There has been an interchangeable use of the term smart power. What are your reflections on the use of smart power within defense systems?
Smart power is a concept they use by opposition to the power that you are using without any thinking, without any planning, without any efficiencies. Sometimes you can deliver a specific action in a very smart way that doesn't have to have negative consequences on the people who are sitting around your target. And the more you engage, again, in technology, the more you engage in facial recognition, the more you engage in targets and targeting technologies, you become actually good at developing those smart power.
So, one last question. The use of information technology in general, how can we use it to deter threats and beef up our security?
Power now is information. When you have data, when you have information, you are able to learn. More importantly, you are able to predict what your enemy is going to do. That's the power of data. When you know that the enemy has done this and that in the past, most likely you will be able to predict what will happen in the future. There was a gentleman today in the panel who said that the people who are behind cyber attacks, usually they are fragile people. They are not as strong as you are. So it is possible for you as someone who wants to gather data, gather information, to be able to counterattack, if you will, those attacks, to do what needs to be done in terms of collecting data and understanding what needs to happen.
Mr. Said Ahmed, is there a final word you would like to direct to the organizers of BIDEC 2019?
I want to thank you for inviting me to this great space. I want to invite Dirasat. It's one of the great think tank institution in Bahrain. I'm humbled and happy to have been involved with them. We need more of these conversations to happen in the Arab world, so we're able to develop our own industry, we're able to develop our technologies.
Mr. Said Ahmed bin Rawan, the chair of the US ISO Innovation Working Group, thank you very much for your very valid points and interesting discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All my pleasure.
Dear viewers, you have been watching this special segment on Bahrain International on the sidelines of the Bahrain International Defense Exhibition and Conference 2019. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and God bless.